Today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapters 4, text 42. Tasmadajnana-sambhutam Hristam jnanasinatmanah Chitvenam sansayam yogam Atishthotishta bharata 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 Mata Tasmadajnana-sambhutam Hristam jnanasinatmanah Chitvenam sansayam yogam Atishthotishta bharata Tasmadajnana-sambhutam Hristam jnanasinatmanah Chitvenam sansayam yogam Atishthotishta bharata Tasmat, therefore, ajnana-sambhutam, born of ignorance, Hristam, situated in the heart, Jnana, of knowledge, Asina, by the weapon, Atmanaha, of the self, Chitva, cutting off, Enam, this, Sansayam, doubt, Yogam, in yoga, Atishta, be situated, Uttishta, stand up to fight, Bharata, O descendant of Bharata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, H.H Bhakti Gaurav Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Purport. The yoga system instructed in this chapter is called Sanatana Yoga, or eternal activities performed by the living entity. This yoga has two divisions of sacrificial actions. One is called sacrifice of one's material possessions, and the other is called knowledge of self, which is pure spiritual activity. If sacrifice of one's material possessions is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, then such sacrifice becomes material. But one who performs such sacrifices with a spiritual objective or in devotional service makes a perfect sacrifice. When we come to spiritual activities, we find that these are also divided into two, namely understanding of one's own self or one's constitutional position, and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who follows the path of Bhagavad Gita as it is can very easily understand these two important divisions of spiritual understanding, spiritual knowledge. For him, there is no difficulty in obtaining perfect knowledge of the self as part and parcel of the Lord. And such understanding is beneficial. For such a person can easily understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. In the beginning of this chapter, the transcendental activities of the Lord were discussed by the Supreme Lord Himself. One who does not understand the instructions of the Gita is faithless and is to be considered to be misusing the fragmental independence awarded to him by the Lord. In spite of such instructions, one who does not understand the real nature of the Lord as the eternal, blissful, all-knowing personality of Godhead is certainly fool number one. Ignorance can be removed by gradual acceptance of the principles of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is awakened by different types of sacrifices to the demigods, sacrifice to Brahman, sacrifice in celibacy, in household life, in controlling the senses, in practicing mystic yoga, in penance, in foregoing material possessions, in studying the Vedas, and in partaking of the social institution called Varnashrama Dharma. All of these are known as sacrifice, and all of them are based on regulated action. But within all these activities, the important factor is self-realization. One who seeks that objective is the real student of Bhagavad Gita. But one who doubts the authority of Krishna falls back. One is therefore advised to study Bhagavad Gita or any other scripture under a bona fide spiritual master with service and surrender. A bona fide spiritual master is in the disciplic succession from time eternal, and he does not deviate at all from the instructions of the Supreme Lord as they were imparted millions of years ago to the Sun God, from whom the instructions of Bhagavad Gita have come down to the earthly kingdom. One should therefore follow the path of Bhagavad Gita as it is, expressed in the Gita itself, and beware of self-interested people after personal aggrandizement who deviate others from the actual path. The Lord is definitely the Supreme Person, and his activities are transcendental. One who understands this is a liberated person from the very beginning of his study of Bhagavad Gita. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of transcendental knowledge. Tasmat ajnana sambhutam hustam jnana sinatmana chittenam sansayam yogam atishta bharata. So here in this verse of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is concluding his instruction on the matter of transcendental knowledge. That how without transcendental knowledge one is put into doubt. As we see in Arjuna's case, Arjuna was initially he was reluctant to fight for the sake of dharma or for the satisfaction of Krishna. Because though Krishna was standing in front of him, Arjuna was calculating his material relationship with the opposite party. So when the duty comes to perform one's prescribed duty, then there cannot be any material selfish calculation. Like the Kshatriyas, they are supposed to fight for establishing dharma, the religious principles. And here there was a great war which is being fought between two parties, those who are representing religious principles and those who are representing irreligious principles. So though it was outwardly a fight between two family members, but actually it was a fight between religion and irreligion. That's why the kings of the whole world, they have to take sides. Either someone has to take the side of religion or someone has to take the side of irreligion. No one can be neutral. Neutral means supporting irreligion. So here the fight is between religion and irreligion, and here Arjuna, who was a great fighter and was representing religious principles, he was reluctant to fight because he was calculating his material benefit, his own material benefit. That what he will get in this fight by killing his own kinsman. So this was caused because of ignorance. Ignorance of the prescribed duty. Though Arjuna was a great friend of Krishna, and he was certainly a pure devotee of Krishna, so he should not have any doubt. But this doubt arises because of Krishna's desire. Because Krishna wanted to teach this Bhagavad Gita for the benefit of the whole world. That's why he put Arjuna, his own devotee, into illusion. Like general people, they are illusioned because of their selfish motives. So Arjuna was put into that state of illusion, so Krishna would teach to the whole world about the religious principles. So here Arjuna had a doubt. And what was that doubt? Because he was thinking, if I could kill my guru, if I would kill my great grandfather, if I would kill my own kinsman, then I would incur so much sin. And then when there will be so much sin, then there will be degradation of religious principles in my family. The women in our family would be corrupted. So there will be chain reaction of that. That's why Arjuna was reluctant to fight. As we see in the material world, people, they always calculate their own profit. When they want to do something, even if it is for the society, even if it is for the betterment of the mankind, still some people are there who always calculate their own benefit in that. So Arjuna was calculating his own benefit. He was forgetting that it was his duty to fight for religious principles. It does not matter whoever may be in the opposite side. He may be his spiritual master, he may be his own great grandfather, but if he is supporting irreligion, then he should be killed. This is the principle. But Arjuna, he was calculating his own benefit, that's why he was reluctant to fight. And the doubt arose in his mind that I will incur sin because of this killing. That's why Krishna has to teach this Bhagavad Gita to take away that doubt in Arjuna's mind, and it was not only Arjuna's mind, it was actually the minds of everyone, the whole mankind. Because we always have so much doubt. Doubt about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doubt about the scriptures, doubt about the religious principles. So we have so much doubt. And when there is doubt and one does not believe on God, His instructions, His religious principles, then sansayatma vinasyati. Then that doubtful person will be destroyed. That's why Krishna is giving this transcendental knowledge in this chapter to drive away that doubt in Arjuna's mind, and at the same time that doubt he wants to drive away from the minds of everyone, the whole mankind. So here we see this last verse of 4th chapter. This verse is concluding verse of this chapter, summarizing the transcendental knowledge. So here Krishna says, Tasmat ajnana sambhutam sansayam. That why doubt comes in mind? Because of ignorance. If someone is knowledgeable, then there will be no doubt. But because of ignorance, this doubt arises. Ajnana sambhutam. Doubt arises from ajnana, from ignorance. And Krishna says, tasmat ajnana sambhutam sansayam. And this doubt remains within the heart, kutstam. And as long as one is doubtful, which is coming from ignorance, that means he does not have transcendental knowledge. He does not know about the self. He does not know about the Supreme Lord. He does not know about his prescribed duty. So, because of this doubt, then what's happened? One forgets that what is his real duty, what he should do and what he should not do. That's the first thing is this doubt has to be removed. And Krishna gives this transcendental knowledge to remove this doubt in the heart of Arjuna and also at the same time in the hearts of all mankind. And how this doubt can be removed? Then Krishna says, Jnana Sina, Jnana Asina. Asi means sword. And this doubt should be removed by the weapon or sword of knowledge. Jnanasina atmana chitvena. So Krishna says that you cut off this doubt, remove this doubt by the weapon of knowledge. And what type of knowledge? This is not material knowledge. Because by material knowledge we cannot remove the doubts. Those who are materially qualified, they have so much doubt. They have so much doubt about the scripture, so much doubt about the Supreme Lord, so much doubt about their prescribed duty. So material knowledge cannot remove the doubts in the hearts. Only spiritual knowledge or transcendental knowledge, which is coming from the Supreme Lord, can remove the doubts in the heart. That's why Prabhupada says in his purport that this knowledge cannot be attained from any ordinary person. Here for Arjuna, Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord himself, is giving this knowledge. But as far as we are concerned, though this knowledge is here in Bhagavad Gita, so many people are reading Bhagavad Gita, but not all of them understand it as it is. They understand it in their own way, in a perverted way, and sometimes they even misinterpret Bhagavad Gita, try to fulfill their own material desires. Sometimes people they read Bhagavad Gita, but they don't accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once I have one experience about this. Once I was traveling in the train, then I saw one Banaras Pandit from Banaras. He was also traveling in the same train. We met. Then we had some discussion about Bhagavad Gita. So I thought this Banaras Pandit must be very qualified, knowledgeable person to understand Bhagavad Gita. So when I talked to him, then first thing he said, that Krishna has not told Bhagavad Gita. First thing, he actually did not accept Krishna as the reciter of Bhagavad Gita. This was his understanding. Even small children, if you ask any small children, you ask him that who has told Bhagavad Gita, they can say Krishna has told. But this Pandit, he has studied Bhagavad Gita and he is giving this comment that Krishna has not told Bhagavad Gita. So then I asked him, then who has told Bhagavad Gita? If Krishna has not told, then who has told Bhagavad Gita? Then he said, Bhagavan has told. Then I asked him that Krishna is not Bhagavan. Then he said, no, Krishna is not Bhagavan. Then I asked him, then who is Bhagavan? Then he said, Param Brahma is Bhagavan. So, this was his understanding. Param Brahma is Bhagavan, but Krishna is not Bhagavan. Whereas in Bhagavad Gita itself, after seeing Krishna's universal form, Arjuna is praying to Krishna and what he is telling? Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhava Purusam Saswatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vivu Ahusta Rusayam Sarve Devarsi Naradas Asita Devala Vyasa Swayamchava Brahvishina. So, where the doubt can come? When Arjuna is telling that you are Param Brahma, he is addressing Krishna as Param Brahma. And then he is telling, I am not only telling this as your friend, even all these sages, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, everyone is telling you are Param Brahma. And not only that, you yourself is also declaring that you are Param Brahma. But after all this Pandit, after reading Bhagavad Gita, he came to the conclusion that Krishna was not Param Brahma. So that means he has not received this knowledge from actual Guru Parampara. That's why Prabhupada says in the purport that this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita can be received through a bona fide spiritual master, not by any ordinary person. Because there are so many people in this age of Kali, those who misinterpret Bhagavad Gita according to their own interests. They quote Gita because everyone accepts Gita an authoritative religious book. That's why they quote Gita, but they misinterpret in such a way to support their view, not Krishna's view. That's why there is so much chaos in the name of Bhagavad Gita. And so Prabhupada says that if we really want to understand Bhagavad Gita, then we must understand it from a bona fide spiritual master who is coming in disciplic succession and who is not misinterpreting Bhagavad Gita according to one's own whim. And when we receive this knowledge through a bona fide spiritual master, then that knowledge, that transcendental knowledge will remove our doubt within our heart. Otherwise, our doubt in the heart cannot be removed. And this Pandit, he had still doubt in Krishna. He does not accept Krishna as Bhagavad. That means he has not received this knowledge through a bona fide spiritual master. So this doubt can be only be removed when one surrenders to a bona fide spiritual master. That's why Prabhupada says that one can approach a bona fide spiritual master through service and surrender. Two things Prabhupada says. That one must serve the bona fide spiritual master to please him and surrender to him. Then that great soul can impart this transcendental knowledge as it is, without any misinterpretation, without putting his own thoughts. Then only one's doubt in the heart about the Supreme Lord, about our own self, about our duty towards the Supreme Lord, we can understand. We can get this knowledge. Then our life will be perfect. Otherwise, as long as this doubt is there in the heart, then we cannot make progress in spiritual life, and also we will go on suffering from our karmic reactions, birth after birth. That's why Krishna here, he is yogam atishto bharata. That's why Krishna says that you remove your doubt within your heart by this transcendental knowledge, and then what happens? You become united with the Supreme. Yoga means to become united with the Supreme. That means perform devotional service to the Supreme. So this transcendental knowledge, Srila Prabhupada also mentions in the purport, has two aspects. One aspect is to know about the self. And then the second aspect is to know about the Supreme Self. And when one understands about his own self and the Supreme Self and the relationship between the Self and the Supreme Self, means Atma and Paramatma. And then one can understand one's duty towards the Supreme. And when one understands the duty towards the Supreme and act accordingly, then all his karmic reactions will be removed, and he will gradually make progress in spiritual life. So you see, this is a gradual process. And Krishna says that when you become united, giving up all your reservations, when you receive this knowledge and you give up your sansaya, doubt, your reservations, then you will not incur any sin. Because when one will perform activity to please the Supreme, then one will not incur any sin. Sometimes it may look like we are doing sinful activity, like Arjuna. He killed so many warriors. He killed his own guru. He killed his own great-grandfather, but he could not incur sin because of that. That's why Krishna says, you do your duty and don't think about the result of your activity. Karmanya vadika raste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have a right to act, but you have no right on the fruits. That Krishna makes the arrangement. So when Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight, then Arjuna has no sin. And even if someone commits sin for the service of Krishna, it has been stated in Varaha Purana, where Krishna says, Mat nimittam kritam papam dharmaya apikalpate. It has been stated that if someone does some sinful activity for me, to satisfy me, then that is not sin, that is dharma. Dharmaya apikalpate. So we have some material calculation about religious activity, sinful activity, but when it comes to satisfy Krishna, then this material sin is transformed. It becomes dharma, the so-called material sin. So here in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, though Arjuna killed his own kinsman, but he did not incur any sin because it was for the pleasure of Krishna. And that knowledge Krishna was trying to give to Arjuna. That's why when one performs devotional service, in due course of time, when one becomes matured enough, then he can get this transcendental knowledge with conviction. And he will go on doing his duty to satisfy Krishna. And that will bring perfection in his life. So here, Krishna says, Yogam atishta tishta bharata. So, my dear Arjuna, you become united with me by performing this service to me. Because this was Krishna's desire, that religious principles should be established in the whole world. And this war was arranged by Krishna to establish Yudhishthira Maharaj as the emperor of this world, by which religious principles will flourish. And Arjuna was become a means. That's why Krishna says, you become united with me means you become united with me with desire. What I desire, you also as my devotee, you also desire this same thing. It is not that the Krishna wants something and the devotee will desire something else. Then that cannot be any union. So Krishna says, you be established in the yoga, united with me in desire. And you get up and fight. You will not incur any sin. That's why Krishna here in this chapter gives this transcendental knowledge to convince Arjuna, and through Arjuna he is actually convincing all of us. How we become united with Krishna? One, united with one desire, no other selfish motive or selfish desire. When it comes for devotional service, many times we think of our own benefit. Oh, what will happen to me? How I will be maintained? So many thoughts come to our minds. I. This is the major problem with us. Because we don't surrender to Krishna. When we surrender to Krishna and leave everything on Krishna, Krishna will take care of us. That faith we don't have. That means we still have doubt in our hearts. When Krishna says, surrender unto me, I will take care of you, then we surrender, Krishna will take care of. But we don't have faith on these words of Krishna. That's why we don't surrender. And we make our own calculations. And that is the reason we face problems in this material world. Because we don't become united with Krishna in service. So this knowledge is actually meant for us. That how Arjuna gave up his own selfish motive, his own consideration, and surrendered to Krishna fully to satisfy him. So this is actually Arjuna is acting as an inspiration to all of us. So, by following Krishna's instruction and acting like Arjuna with service and surrender, we can make our life perfect. Hare Krishna.